If you haven't watched the previous tutorial session, please know that we have introduced procedures. In that tutorial session, we described what type of information is expected under procedures. In this tutorial session, I'm only going to focus on the technical aspect of it. Then, after we've discussed the technical aspect of it, we are going to use a mind map to look at some possible procedures that could be implemented when investigating fraud. Okay, so let's focus on these technical aspects. Okay, procedures must come right after the terms of reference. Procedures are numbered, and every procedure listed must have a direct link to a finding. For example, a procedure listed as 2.2 must have its finding or findings listed as 3.2. A procedure that is listed as 2.6 must have a corresponding finding listed as 3.6. Okay? Procedures details steps taken and the reasons for taking those steps. Hence, procedures must be written in the past tense. Here's an example of a procedure that could be listed for this particular assignment. Okay? Interviews were conducted with whistleblowers, 5 with Progressville Section A residents, 3 with Progressville Section B residents, and 4 with Progressville Section D residents, to obtain and determine if there was any concrete evidence that they could share to help the investigation. Okay, so if you look at this example, it includes 2 parts. The first part, the part that is in red, actually explain the step or the action taken, and the part that is in green explains why this step was taken. Okay, so when you're writing your procedures, it is always important to list the action that you took and the reason for taking that particular action. Okay, let us look at how you will include this in your assignment or in your document. Okay, so this is how you are going to write this. You will label procedures as number 2. Under number 2, it's procedures. Then just underneath that, you will write the procedures followed in order to collect the necessary information, where then you start listing your procedures. For this particular assignment, you are expected to list between 4 and 6 procedures. Okay, so this is how you will write the previously explained procedure. Interviews were conducted with whistleblowers, 5 blah 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 blah. Okay, after writing this, you will list the second procedure. Okay, you list the second action that was taken. And then the reason for taking that particular action, and then you'll do the same under 2.3 all the way to 2.6 or 2.7, depending on the number of procedures or the number of actions that you would have taken to investigate this matter. Okay, so now let us focus on our assignment and let's go through some of the procedures that are likely to be implemented when investigating the problem that we were given. Okay, so we are going to look at the procedures or the actions that can be taken. Before we start thinking about the actions that could have been taken, okay, in such a report, I think it is important that we take a step back and really digest what we are trying to do for this particular assignment. Okay, 1, we are trying to write a report of an investigation that has taken place. Okay, so it's something that happened in the past, so we need to think about this from that perspective. So whatever we write here, it's actually made up stuff. We are making up the fact that we actually conducted an investigation. We did not do that, right? But we need to pretend that we had conducted an investigation. Okay, so here under procedures, we need to list the actions that were supposedly taken during the investigation, okay, to collect data and the reasons why we took those particular actions. Okay, so If you were given the task to investigate the matter, what will be the starting point? Okay, I think for most of us, the first thing that you need to actually understand is to find out from the people who actually reported the crime what they know. Okay, so the starting point is to conduct interviews. Okay, that's number one. You need to conduct interviews. Okay, conduct interviews. Okay, interviews. Okay, with the whistleblowers. Okay, so blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's whistleblowers. Okay, conduct interviews with whistleblowers, and then remember when writing your procedures, there are actually two parts. The first part is the action, okay, the action taken. Okay, the second part is the reason. Why will you conduct, okay, interviews with whistleblowers? Okay, to one, it could be to establish the facts about what they know, and also to find out if they do have evidence, okay, to support their allegations. So that is a likely reason. Okay, check if they have evidence. Okay, so after doing this, okay, let me just do this. Okay, one, if they have evidence. Okay, let's just write evidence. Okay, to support their claim. Okay, so okay, that will most likely be the first step that you take. So depending on the outcome of this, remember, this will be under procedure, and whatever information that you get here must be included as part of your findings. So this will be your number 2.1, somewhere under 3 your findings. Okay, findings, you will have 3.1, and then the outcome of this will be included under 3.1. Okay, under 3.1. So remember, everything that we're doing here is actually made up. So you will have to come up with your own scenario and tell us, like, under your findings, what evidence or information you got from the interviews. Okay, you need to state what they told you here. Okay, and provide like facts if you do have facts. If yeah, so that's basically what you're gonna do under your findings. Okay, so these two are linked, like we have explained previously. Okay, let's say depending on the information that you get here, you are going to take a decision as to what to do next. Okay, let us look at some of the possible outcomes from your interview with the whistleblowers. Remember, you are the one conducting the interview. Okay, so one of the outcomes could be they have no evidence to back their claim. Okay, let's just write down, they have no evidence, okay, to back their claims. Okay, to back their claims. Okay, so this can be possible even if there was a crime committed. For example, if the bribery man was like cash. Okay, if there was a cash transaction, so you can't trace this. Okay, the fact that there was a cash transaction does not mean that there was no fraud. Okay, or there was no bribery. Okay, you might find that they do have evidence. Okay, remember, these are made up scenarios. If there is evidence, okay, what are the likely forms of the evidence that you might have? Let's say maybe they were photographed. Okay, photos of the officials receiving cash, or the bribery money was paid through a bank. Therefore, there is transactions. Okay, bank transactions. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so if there is bank transactions, this can guide you as to what your next step should be under your procedures. Okay, if there are photos, okay, you can request these photos from the whistleblowers if they do have them. Okay, So this is important because it guides you as to what you're supposed to do next, okay?